Why your budgie sits at the bottom of the cage, and why you must never ignore this. Because that small, quiet, still bird sitting on the cage floor right now is not resting, not choosing a different spot. They are not bored, they are not playing. To understand the gravity of the floor, you have to look at the bird's evolutionary hardware. In the wild, budgies are instinctively wired from birth to live, sleep, and eat in the canopy. Their survival depends on elevation. Healthy, secure budgies remain high in their environment automatically, without a second thought. Height offers safety from predators. Conversely, the floor is where the danger is greatest. It is where sick or exhausted birds fall when they can no longer maintain their grip. When a budgie leaves the safety of the perch for the floor, they have lost the physical strength required to perform their most basic survival behavior. Since they cannot tell you they are in pain, this physical collapse is their body communicating a total loss of strength. This transition often feels sudden to an owner, but the reality is much more devastating. By the time a bird reaches the cage floor, they have likely been unwell for days or even weeks. As prey animals, budgies possess a deeply ingrained instinct to mask any sign of discomfort. In the wild, showing any weakness invites predation, so they project strength even when their systems are failing. They likely spent the last few days chirping, eating, and looking at you with bright eyes, while their internal resources were rapidly depleting. Today, the cost of that performance became higher than their body could pay. The bird has entered energy conservation mode. Their body made a survival calculation. It can no longer afford the energy to grip a perch or maintain the appearance of health. Every remaining resource is redirected towards staying alive. This is a biological threshold. Once a budgie hit the cage floor, the window for medical intervention is measured in hours. You have at most 1 day to act before the body's remaining reserves are entirely spent. To save a bird in this state, you have to identify which internal crisis is forcing them down. There are 4 primary causes, and all of them move with lethal speed. The first is respiratory infection. In a body this small, labored breathing can progress to total respiratory failure within 24 to 48 hours. Watch for a beak that stays open, or a tail that bobs rhythmically with every breath. The second cause is organ failure. Years of an improper diet can lead to liver disease, while chronic dehydration can cause kidneys to shut down. Because these conditions develop internally, they remain invisible until the bird is too weak to stand. In females, the third cause is egg binding. If a bird is straining or has a visibly swollen abdomen, an egg may be stuck, blocking the passage of droppings and putting immense pressure on internal organs. This is a mechanical emergency that can be fatal in a matter of hours. The fourth cause is invisible injury. Night frights or collisions can cause internal bleeding or fractures that leave no external marks. The bird sits on the floor simply because the pain of perching has become unbearable. Because these killers provide no outward symptoms during their early stages, the sight of your bird on the floor is the only warning you will receive. You must now determine if the bird has crossed the emergency threshold. 2 specific symptoms indicate a state of near total collapse. The first is a bird that feels cold to the touch. When a budgie loses the ability to maintain its own heat, the body has entered a state of systemic failure. This is an immediate, life-threatening crisis that will not resolve without professional intervention. The second sign is tail bobbing, a rhythmic up and down motion where the entire body is being recruited just to pull oxygen into the lungs. This indicates the bird is using its final energy reserves simply to breathe. While transporting the bird to a vet, you must perform 3 triage steps. First, provide external warmth. By keeping the environment around 80 degrees Fahrenheit, you remove the metabolic burden of thermoregulation, allowing the bird to focus all its energy on survival. Second, remove all perches. A bird on the floor is unstable. Attempting to climb back up can lead to secondary fall injuries. Bring food and water down to their level to minimize their need to move. Third, avoid all over-the-counter pet store medications. These products are often ineffective and can introduce toxins that a weakened liver cannot process. Provide fresh water only. These steps are designed to buy time. They do not cure the underlying infection or injury. They solely conserve the bird's remaining strength while you reach a professional. The most dangerous decision an owner can make at this stage is waiting for the morning. It is tempting to hope that a night of rest will resolve the issue, especially when emergency vets are far away. However, the biological clock does not stop. Every hour spent on the floor is an hour of massive energy lost and potential immune system failure. A bird that is struggling to breathe tonight may not have the reserves to last until dawn. Survival is not guaranteed overnight. If your bird is on the floor, the only viable option is an immediate drive to an emergency avian vet. If you find your bird in this state, do not view it as a failure of your care. Because birds are so skilled at hiding illness, the floor is often the very first piece of evidence an owner is given. The collapse is the moment the facade finally breaks. It is the only way your bird can show you that they can no longer cope with their internal condition alone. They are still fighting. By acting now, while they are still breathing, you are honoring the signal they are sending you. Share this video with other bird owners. It may be the information they need to recognize an emergency before it's too late. Subscribe for our upcoming series on preventative health routines that catch these signs weeks earlier. And if you are going through this now, leave a comment below. Our community is here to support you through the process. We look after each other. I'll see you in the next one.